Outer Orange. Think Squishy's plotting something. Hey guys, I'm back. Today we're going to be doing a Lupina deck profile. I feel like this deck profile it's actually probably one of the strongest decks I would say in the set, aside from like maybe Melody. It's really hard to say, but the deck is pretty consistent and pretty strong. But let's go on in and we're gonna discuss. I'm gonna switch my usual setup, so let's go ahead and switch it up so we can discuss the deck. Alright, so I'm back and here we are with the Lupina deck profile. So of course it's going to be starring Lupina, which is kind of like a multi-attacking, I would say, engine. Before we get into her, I do have some grade 4s first. We're going to go and start with the grade 4s. So I run 2 copies of Olivia, mainly because Olivia is another form of Lupina. It's kind of a good thing to just ride into to just end the game, as everything restands with power and stuff like that. And she gains a crit too. They're pretty similar. It's just good to kind of keep the synergy of what Lupina does. But Olivia's skill is when it attacks, for whatever unit that has a different card name, you pretty much just restand it. And then if you restand 3 or more, she gains a crit. Pretty simple skill. It's usually meant for Highlander, but you can actually get it off like on your Lupinas and other decks as well, mainly because all you have to do is just have 3 different units with different names, and it's really not that hard to get that to go off, as chances are you probably will have at least 3. But as long as you have 3, you can restand. If you have all 5, then you can restand everything. It's just a really nice way to just add pressure. Usually 4 is probably the max that you'll want, but she just continues the Lupina engine in case you just need to keep riding, as they are really similar. Next we have, also there's no counterblast for that card, which is really nice. Next we have Lupina herself. Lupina's skill is once per turn, you can Soul Blast 2, like a top 7 for a normal unit, and then you pick that unit, place on the board, and that unit gets a Force Marker. So this is a Force Marker kind of generation type of concept. Also, when it attacks, when she attacks, you can counterblast, and any unit with Force Marker restands. So if you have Force Markers all over the board, everything can pretty much restand, and this just gets more and more aggressive with each turn, making it so that your turns just get aggressive with every single with every single turn that you survive. You get stronger and stronger, as you can pretty much generate 2 markers in 1 turn, and your columns just get bigger. And then if you're restanding, then everything just gets even more crazy. And this just in general just gets really strong really fast, as it can enable 5 attacks even on your first turn. If you place down a Force Marker on your left side, place down a Force Marker on your right side, then you can literally go into a 5 attack type of thing on your first grade 3 ride, which gets pretty bonkers, I would say. And the fact that she's able to just search for units on her own is actually really nice too. But overall, this card's relatively strong, I would say. The fact that it has no wall, like no opponent has to be on grade 3, no, there's nothing really here aside from the soul blasting that you need in order to get this rolling, and of course a hand. So as long as you have those things, you can propel really fast and kill your opponent rather quickly. But we run 3 copies of her. That's the only grade 3 I have, as the grade 4 Olivia kind of covers the rest. Next we have the main supports. This is Unique Allure Dogny. Dogny is one of your main supports for the Lupina engine. Her skill is during your turn, if a Force Marker is on her, then Lupina his critical becomes 2. And then also when placed, if your Vanguard is Lupina or herself, then you Soul Charge. It's one place Soul Charge, and then also if Lupina or herself is on the board, then you Soul Charge again. So it gives you that 2 soul that you need for Lupina's skill. Very, very straightforward, I would say. That's pretty much her main focus. She lets your Lupina become a crit of 2, and then she also gives the extra soul. Next we run Lieselot. Lieselot is, of course, as always, it's the top card. You put it on the board, or you put into soul. Good way to replenish soul, or a good way to just keep a board going. And since everything restands with Force Markers, you want to make sure you just have a board all the time. This just gets your board going. But yeah, she just pretty much gets your board going. Just kind of hard to go wrong with this card. It doesn't matter if it's a crit at this point. With this deck, it doesn't matter. Other decks do. It does matter, as some things can't be used unless it's a normal unit, but in this deck, it's everything. Next, we have another staple. And the last of the grade 2s, this is Top Idol Aqua. Top Idol Aqua skill is very simple. It's one place. You return a unit back to your hand and draw a card and discard. So it's a good way to just reuse skills. On top of that, she gets 5k if there's a rear guard behind her. And just a really good staple. She's been a staple in every Bermuda deck recently because she's just really good, really strong. Really hard to go wrong with her, I recommend. You want to make sure you have Sedna. This is your grade 3 searcher. She searches for Lupina. She also becomes a 5k whenever she becomes a 13k beat stick whenever she's behind stuff. So her restanding will become even better if she's behind Vanguard, rear guard, whatever. Doesn't matter. The extra 5k will stack with the restanding, with the force markers and everything. So you definitely want to have this at 4. Get your Lupinas and start rocking that board. Next I run 2 special message Aurora. That's just a way to cycle through really fast, get to your pieces. Pretty much, you want to make sure you get through what you need. She's also a good Vanguard target, like a ride target. But overall, it's just a cycle. If there's certain things you don't need, say you don't need your Olivia that game or whatever, you just can drop it, but get a shield value, get something else. So I run 2 of her. Mermaid Idol Ellie, still one of my favorite cards in the set that I like to use. Her skill is when it attacks or attack boosted hits, you can search for herself and put it into your hand, and then you retire this one. And then the other thing is when you place her on guard circle, then if you have one in the drop zone, you put that Ellie to the bottom of the deck, and she gets an extra 10k shield, making her a heal trigger. So just a really nice way to recycle, and you can just keep recycling. You can just keep recycling these and just keep using them. I think it's just really good defensive options. Hopefully eventually it'll just get better with just some future stuff that may be coming out into Bermuda. Next I have 4 copies of the other Lupina support. This is Fresher's Innovate Rosalinda. This is your main way to search for both Lupina and the grade 2. The grade 2 that so charges Dogby. So it says when placed, Soul Blast 1, look at her skill says when placed, Soul Blast 1, look for the top 5 of your cards for Lupina or the Dogby, grade 2 girl, the soul charging girl, and put it into your hand. You have to pick one or the other. Her other skill is during your turn, if she is on a force marker, your Lupina gets an extra 10k, so it makes Lupina stronger. If you have both cards on the board, both the grade 2 and the grade 1, Lupina gets power, and she also gets a crit. This is just utilized to make your Lupina's Vanguard attack just even stronger when it attacks. Very much the main focus is to just make your turns as lethal as possible, so she just stacks onto that. Lastly, for my grade 1, I run 1 copy mini Sparkle Parum. Parum's skill is if you soul blast it 2 times, she gets 10k. Obviously with Lupina's skill alone, you will get that condition met, and it makes it so that when she's in the back doing some stuff, or when you just get her out onto the board, you can pretty much just instantly utilize her 10k skill. On top of the fact that you can literally search for one-ofs, like as the Lupina skill says, take any normal unit and put it onto the board. So you can just make this instantly a 28k, where you can put a force marker on her. She gets the 10k on top of that. So when she's swinging, she alone swings for 28,000. So she just adds to that power level that you will be increasing, and just makes her really, really good as a card. And you can keep her as a one-up because you can find her. It's pretty rough to find her, but you can find her. And she's definitely not like your main target. So she's just another option. Going into our triggers, and I apologize, I do have a little bit of a proxy here, mainly because I just don't feel like I'm sleeving my other ones. But you want to run 4 of your perfect guards, so four perfect guards, just to get your draw through, get those perfect cards into your hand. You're going to run 4 heals, as you want to stay alive, and of course, since your Vanguard attack is pretty lethal, you want to make sure you're going at all your crits. You can maybe play with this a little bit. I haven't experimented yet. I think the draw is nice, but you can experiment with this a little bit. You can go 2 and 2 maybe. I don't recommend going all 4, but you can pretty much end the game pretty quickly with just this type of setup. It's a very simple setup. It's very just solid, and it's kind of hard to go wrong with this. Next, you're going to want your starter and your quick shield, of course. Lastly, I want to briefly talk about force markers. I think this is the most linear and probably the easiest one to discuss. You mainly just want to go force 1. There's literally no point in going force 2, as the back row units just do nothing for you. Everything restands, so you want to make sure you restand with power. You can only go force 2 if you really know you're going to end the game like that very same turn, which is probably unlikely. And plus, some of the units in the back row rely on force markers, and you don't ride that much in this deck, so honestly, you won't won't be getting that much. You're mostly going to be getting all your force markers from her skill, more so than actually riding on top. So keep that in mind. I think Force 1 is definitely the way to go, as it makes every column extremely lethal and extremely hard to avoid. I would definitely go Force 1. If you can make Force 2 work, by all means tell me about it, because I would love to hear a way to make Force 2 work with this deck. But I think Force 1 is definitely the way to go. So if you have Lupina as your Vanguard, so here she is. Here's Lupina as your Vanguard, and you just got your first force marker. You would put it here. You would use her skill to search something out. So say you search for her, activate her skill to just get two soul charges in, and then now your Lupina has an extra crit. And because you you would search her and put her here actually, and because you searched her, you get an imaginary gift force. This is your first turn, by the way, so this is your first turn. Next, you would definitely want to have some kind of board behind you, and preferably you definitely want to have these. This is, if you search for it, cool, you can put a force marker on them, but you can have something like this, make this column just more annoying. You pretty much swing with your rears first, so you would swing with your rears. You can actually swing it unboosted. Swing with your rears first, swing with Lupina, do your counterblast, and restand anything with a force marker on it. And also she has the crit on her, so this is a crit attack, and then you just do your check, right? You do your check, you put your power, whatever you get there, and then you have another lethal attack coming. That's pretty much the main combo of the deck, and kind of like the main focus of like what you want to achieve every single game, I would say. So I'm back in my intermission screen. I don't really have much else for you guys for this video. I feel like this video is just very like, for those that really need a Lupina deck, here it is. And you can literally just instantly build this and just go instantly into games and really understand the deck pretty quickly. I feel like out of a lot of the Vanguard decks that are out there, this is probably one of the most straightforward decks, aside from like maybe Overlord DX. So just, I'm not bashing on it. It's not my most favorite, because I like decks that have a little bit more flavor to them, a little bit extra spice, a little bit of that culture. I need some of that boom boom pow with my mind in order to really enjoy a deck. But anyway, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it helps you build out your Lupina decks, because that is the focus of the video. So I hope this helps you build, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Other than that, guys, I want to say peace out. Thank you for all the support, and das vidania as always, and see you guys in another video. Bye!